Alright, let's start from the beginning. This is Berkeley. This is where I spend most of my time, most of the year. Except for this year. So I'm currently biking to go get my COVID tests. Should be a while till we get there. Sometimes I forget, but the streets in Berkeley are so beautiful. So for some context, before I was allowed to get on any flights back to Taiwan, I had to get a COVID test and prove that I was COVID negative. And even then, I equipped myself with this face shield, hopped on a plane, and here I am, landing here in Taipei, Taiwan. I even brought with me 100 plus pounds of stuff just for my family, a personal delivery. It is so windy outside. You can see the trees. Home, but also my view of the outside world for the next 14 days. So here it goes, my 14-day self-isolation journey. Starting with the morning. I usually wake up somewhat early, around 7:30, but today was a Sunday, so I decided to sleep in a little, allowing myself to take some time before actually getting out of bed. And when I do, the first thing I do is look for my glasses. I put them on to feel actually a lot more awake, and then like a typical Gen Z, I reach for my phone. This is actually a habit I've been trying to break many times, but especially when I'm in Taiwan, I find it hard not to want to catch up on everything that I missed while I was asleep and the other half of the world was awake. And then I always climb over the side of my bed, looking for that glass of water that I filled up the night before. Okay, I just have to say, does anyone else do this other than me, which stretch in the morning? Apparently this is a really strange habit, but it always wakes me up. It makes me feel so good. I love stretching so much. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely not one to make my bed first thing in the morning. But I do like having a nice bed. I make it eventually. And yes, because I'm not allowed to leave my room, I text my parents in the morning when I wake up. I say good morning. It's code for, I'm awake and I'm hungry. Please feed me breakfast. And then I'll pull up the curtains in my room just to let a little light in. These past couple days it's been pretty dark and pretty windy, but today was a pretty nice day. I try to enjoy as much sunlight as I can, since I do only have one window. Now, breakfast, my favorite meal of the day. I usually add peanut butter to anything that I can, and instead of cinnamon, I have the pumpkin pie spice my sister asked me to bring back to her. And I love starting my mornings with a podcast. This is my favorite one, How I Built This. I feel like it gives me a kick to start my day. It's something somewhat educational, something refreshing and inspirational. And now, breakfast isn't usually this fancy, but then again, it is a Sunday. And yet again, another quarantine precautionary act. I wash my dishes in my room first, and then my parents run it through the dishwasher, just to make sure we're not spreading any germs around. Alright, now let me show you my somewhat secret stash of food. I've got my popcorn, my stack of chocolates, as well as plenty of other goodies I have in here to keep me company. And then I bring my trusty handle of 75% alcohol and spray down all my dishes before I bring them outside. Alright, on to the last step of my morning routine. I put in my contacts. It makes me feel so much more awake. It's like when a lot of girls put on their makeup, except I'm not a big makeup guru, so I put in my contacts instead. Waking up, getting out of bed, eating breakfast, those are some of the things I do every single day in quarantine. I know I'm stuck in a room, but every day is different, and I try to treat it that way. So here are some of the fun things I've done so far. Alright, so this is my setup.
I have my laptop with the questions and then the kinds of questions on my school laptop, and also the answers are here.
Lucky me, or maybe not, I flew back before finals so that I'd be studying for most of my isolation time. I thought this was the most productive thing to do. I can't go anywhere or do anything, so I'll just sit in my seat and study.
I have class, but I'm also hungry.
Yeah.
My life would be a series of eat, sleep, study, and working out, which is perfect, right? I mean, I'm a big fan of efficiency, so this is the best thing to do, right? Now, here's my daily check-in from the CDC. They basically ask me how I'm feeling and to respond with a 1 if I'm feeling normal, 2 if I have one of the listed symptoms like a fever, loss of taste, or soreness, and 3 if I have any other symptoms, which I responded to with a 1 because I'm feeling totally fine.
Okay.
I always grab and put on my mask before leaving my room, just another isolation precaution. I used to view this isolation experience like living in a box, because I'm given food that's set outside my door, I get a knock, I open the door, which is the few times in a day where I actually get to see other human beings in person, then I collect my food, eat it, wash it, return it, and repeat. It's lonely. But over time, slowly, I started to view this as a surprise. Every meal's a gift. It's different. I never really know what to expect, and now 3 times a day, instead of barely getting to see someone, I get a mini surprise, and it's definitely become one of the most exciting parts of my day. Even if I'm by myself, I found plenty of ways to stay entertained. The obvious is Netflix, and I got plenty of that. Also snacking, and I did some of that too, but then there's learning, and I'm not talking about studying for finals, but I definitely did a lot of that, but going out of my way to learn something and try something that I've always wanted to do. And for me, that's photography and Lightroom. I had this vision of using fairy lights in a nighttime background, and well, I think it turned out okay. You can let me know. Definitely not a model, but it was fun. Another thing I absolutely loved about isolation was taking the time to move my body. Before this isolation, I wasn't the biggest fan of yoga. I mean, I'd practice from time to time, but I was never convinced that it was a great workout. My go-tos were usually something like HIIT or Pilates or cardio. I just never felt like yoga made me sweat enough or felt sore enough afterwards for me to even consider it being a workout. But yoga makes me feel stronger. I've been sensing improvement. It gives me a practice and a process to stretch and use muscles that I wouldn't have otherwise exercised. I love how yoga is focused on the physical, mental, and spiritual practice, setting intentions at the beginning of class. To feel stronger, to be more focused, to be grateful. It makes me think about my purpose for the next 30 minutes. I've grown to really love that. We're so connected to the internet and technology, we forget that there are things that don't require a screen. So I set up these fairy lights all across the room, and it's just this one little thing that just makes me so happy when I see it.
Alright, I know it's really dark, but sitting here feels so magical. Have lights all around me.
So maybe efficiency isn't the answer to everything. It's not always the best mindset to have for every single activity that I'm doing. I started a new practice of mine. At the end of the day, I try to be unplugged, reading a new book, fiction or nonfiction, whatever my mind desires. I try to take the time to breathe, recharge, relax, and wind down for the start of a new day. And lucky me, I'm free tomorrow. 14 days?